Elizabeth Police Chief Jason Shaw. So if you've got any questions, we'll take them at this time.
Sheriff, what can you tell us about when the call first came in, what you were dealing with as the scene first, or you got here on the scene?
Well, I got here within just 5 minutes, and Elizabeth Police Department and Elizabeth Fire Department is already on the scene. This is in the city limits. So we're more in a support role than anything else, but the airplane was fully engulfed. All the people had gotten out of it. The fire department did an exceptional job extinguishing the flame. 5 occupants, no one's injured. Under the circumstances, we're extremely blessed and fortunate.
Sheriff, what have you heard about Dale Earnhardt and his family and the 2 pilots?
We have not. We won't get into that. It's him being who he is. He has people that press people that were releasing information as to his injuries and his family's injuries.
It seems like it was an absolute incredible stroke of good luck that they got off that plane. Can you talk to us about the timing from what you've heard in terms of them able to get off that plane before it was too late?
Chief, you want to carry?
Well, I think the first word that comes to my mind is they were very lucky. And one thing that strikes me since I've been looking at the scene a little bit closer is the fact when it came through the fence wrapped around the airplane, and there's a section there that the fence is wrapped around the plane. If that would have been where the door was, it would have been a lot more difficult for them to get the door open. So it looks like everything worked in their favor instead of against them.
At first we'd heard that maybe the plane was not on fire when they got off the plane, but that's not the case. It was burning as they got off of it, is that correct?
I think it was burning when they got off of it, yes. According to some witness statements, just after it hit the ground, it started burning.
Gentlemen, did you get reports that were there witnesses to the actual incident?
Yes, they were witnesses to the incident.
What have they been able to tell you about what happened?
Well, I haven't been able to speak to them personally yet. We took some statements, and they'll be talking to the NTSB in the morning.
What's the timetable for investigation and any early findings just from an observational standpoint?
No, that's beyond our scope. When the FAA and the NTSB gets here in the morning, they'll start their investigation. In the meantime, we're just preserving evidence.
What's the scene like at this point? I know you've had a very active scene for several hours.
Well, it's calmed down a lot now. We had some fire burning with fuel runoff, but that's pretty much burned itself out, and what we could put out, we got out. And we're just protecting the environment right now and preserving the evidence.
Chief, we're standing way back here. Can you describe what the plane looks like, the damage to it, and what's left of it?
Well, there's a door near the front, a nose of the plane. Beyond that, it's pretty much destroyed. The nose of the plane and the door were intact.
Chief, what did you see when you got here? When your guys got on scene, what were there?
The first arriving unit reported flames visible, but the occupants were already out of the plane.
Were the flames coming from an area where they would have been sitting?
I'm sure they were, yes.
We'd heard that Dale Jr. at one point was on the ground and that his family was with him. Can you tell us what your eyewitnesses saw in terms of the people on that plane?
Just that he was there. And he was having a little bit of trouble, but I think they transported him non-emergency, and that's really all I know about his medical condition.
Wife and daughter?
Yes.
I believe the airport is set to reopen, so there was no damage to the runway?
Correct. Yeah, the airport should be open now.
Any idea what you're dealing with the road? You had some concerns with the highway out here as well.
Well, we were afraid that we were having some heat under the bottom of the road, so we're just going to make sure that that's cooled off and that there's no damage. And we should be able to get it opened back up pretty soon.
When will the federal investigators get here?
I'm anticipating in the morning.
So you think we'll be able to open 91 back up tonight?
At least partially, but Chief Shaw probably should answer that.
As far as for the traffic plan, Highway 91 is going to be closed in this section at least till this time tomorrow. We've got a temporary detour. TDOT's helping, in addition to the Elizabeth Street Department, helping set up a detour just right behind us here, to Industrial Drive, to A.Y. McDonald Drive, to Avenue, to Judge Don Lewis Avenue, to the next traffic light we see. We'll basically be able to loop the traffic, but we need our residents, anybody in the area, to avoid the area if they absolutely can. Of course, we've got 2 schools to operate in the morning, TCAT, Northeast State Community College, all the other businesses, the airport. So There is traffic that does need to get in the area, but we just really need everybody to avoid it as much as you can if possible. That's going to help with the situation and the congestion.
So you're not reopening 91 tonight?
91 is not going to be open tonight in this section. We're going to be able to have 2 lanes through the detour shortly, but the actual section of the roadway adjacent to the airport where the crash occurred is going to be closed. We're concerned with the fire from the fuel that was underneath the roadway. That has to cool. That has to be checked environmentally. And of course, TDOT has to inspect the bridge to make sure that there's the structural integrity is there before traffic can be on there.
Any idea how long the fuselage is going to remain there on the side of the road?
I do not have any idea on that.
Even after they release the scene, it'll take hours.
What's going to be done to protect the scene?
Picked up. We're going to have Elizabethton Police Department officers, Highway Patrol officers, and our officers here to protect the scene 24/7 until NTSB releases us.
Chief Carrier, you said there was a fence wrapped around the fuselage.
That's what it looks like to me.
What part of the fuselage?
Around the middle of the fuselage.
And were there any skid marks on the runway?
I don't know.
Don't know. Yeah.
So you're saying it went through the fence and appears to have took part of the fence with it, and that could have been really bad if it had blocked the exit from.
Had blocked the exit, yes, that could have been really bad, but they were very lucky.
EMS was incredibly close.
They're really close, and they're really professional. They do a great job.
Can you enlighten us on your investigation versus what NTSB and FAA are going to do? Obviously, they'll take over, but for now, do y'all just secure the scene and keep everybody back?
Yes, for now we just make sure that we mitigate the hazard as much as we can, and keep the scene protected and keep the public protected.
When did NTSB say they would be here?
I'm expecting them early in the morning.
Just your reactions as people who've dealt with this scene in terms of just how close this was.
You know, I guess the only word I can say is that they were extremely lucky. That's the way I feel. But our firefighters were on the scene quickly and did a great job.
How fast were you able to get those flames knocked down?
A couple of minutes.
Were there any cars directly impacted by this accident?
I'm sorry?
Were there any cars directly impacted?
No. And that's another lucky spot. I mean, this is a heavily traveled roadway, especially at 3:30 in the afternoon. Extremely heavy. And the fact that there was no one injured, we're extremely lucky, blessed.
Chief, anything from you about just how amazing the escape was? I mean, I don't want to portray it what it is, but it sounds like they escaped. Is that a fair assessment from what you've heard?
That's what it sounds like to me. I've been working as far as trying to support the operation and work on the traffic plan, so Chief Carrier knows more about the operations, but I do know we thank very much the EMS, the response from the EMS, of course, Elizabethton Fire Department, sheriff's deputies, my folks at the police department. Of course, we were also assisted by the volunteer fire departments, in addition to Stony Creek Volunteer Fire Department responding to help on this end. We also had the other fire departments in the county covering the city of Elizabethton with units, and several of them also have brought equipment for their overnight security as far as light towers. Of course, we have help from in addition to the initial response of the Carter County EMS and Rescue Squad. They have a support system here set up for us for the safety and security of the other responders. They also have the equipment for our command post here and rehab. So we appreciate all the help to all the agencies that have helped.
I understand that EMS was like a few hundred yards away. Where exactly are they located?
South of the scene, about a quarter of a mile.
Did any of it get into the pond and the river, from what you can tell? Any of the fuel?
I don't think so. I think we got there quick enough with some docking material that we kept it out of the pond.
And are we okay in saying that he escaped and his family escaped?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. And all the first responders do such a great job. And you know, first responders across the nation are stressed, and they always do the right thing. So I want to thank all the people that helped on this scene, Chief Shaw and his guys, and Sheriff and his men, volunteer firemen, all the people, the EMS guys, even Johnson City Fire Chief was calling me wanting to know if we needed anything, and he had a couple of trucks on standby for us. So when those kind of things happen, we all work together really well.
If you had to guess, this crash scene will be on that road for at least 24 hours?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Anything else?
Thank you all, gentlemen.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
You just heard live coverage of a news conference that just wrapped up here. These local law enforcement answering all the questions that they can. Forgive me, I've just spent the last 10 minutes kind of down on one knee. I'm going to go back around this way as we work to get out of the group of reporters that have assembled here. I think the real takeaway from that is that, you know, for people who live in this area, you're going to be able to get right around the crash site. But for people who are coming, you know, trying to get, say, for instance, from Elizabeth and up Highway 91 to upper parts of Stony Creek into Carter County, this road is going to remain closed through this one section, which means you're going to have to go through what's called the Broad Street Extension. That's the Lynn Valley side of this place. You heard it, one after another, just an amazement that the Earnhardts and their pilots are okay tonight, and we're now what continues to be an active scene as we wait for federal investigators to get here. For now, Josh Smith reporting live in Elizabeth, and now back to you.